This video goes out to everyone who uses BlueCat Audio plugin script in order to make plugins. I personally mostly use it as a test bench because you can just open it up and then just work on your scripts and you will immediately get a nice little GUI with parameters that lets you work on the stuff. However, there is one big problem that I have even when I'm just using it as a test bench, which is that the scripting language AngelScript is kinda slow. But fortunately, plugin script also lets you use C++. You just have to figure out how. So in this video I will show you how it works. First of all, I will show you what I have here as a beat and as a script. So as you can see, and hopefully also hear, this is a wave shaper. Whenever this is on 0%, then there are a lot of peaks in the oscilloscope. When I'm turning it up, it gets squashed. I chose this as an example because it's just very easy to imagine and also doesn't involve a lot of code. It is just looping through the channels, looping through the samples, and then 10H on the sample times drive times the gain value that also comes from the drive value basically, in order to gain compensate. Wave shaper, shapes waves, I guess. So what do you have to do in order to convert this into a C++ project? First of all, you have to go to the BlueCat Audio plugin script repository, and if you don't want to Google that, then there is also a link in this description and you download that. I will just download it to my desktop. Now if you click on built-in and then native source, then you can see a little how-to that explains how it works, but I will also explain in this video so you don't have to read and stuff. After you have unpacked the zip file, you go into the built-in native source folder and then you can click on source and there you will find the your script CPP file, which looks like this, and it shows you that your own scripts can actually start like this in a very simple way, just with a name and a description. And you can already see a little bit of a difference here to the AngelScript scripts, which is that you have to import a bunch of stuff for it to work, and also you have to use the DXP export macro for a lot of stuff. But it's not very easy to get started from this your script CPP file. It is easier to go into build VS 2015 and then projects, and then there is the your scripts project file down here. If you double click on this, it will open Visual Studio. Now it asks me if I want to update the project file to some stuff. I just say okay. And now you can see that this looks exactly like the your script CPP that we found earlier, but now we have proper color coding and stuff like that. Also, this project is perfectly set up to create a plugin. As you can see, when you go into the properties, it has dynamic library DLL as the configuration type and whatever else is needed to make it a successful plugin. I don't know. So I close Visual Studio again. Now I don't want to save my non-changes. So what you want to do now is you copy the your scripts file into a new file and then you give it a unique name. For example, wave shaper, and then you open it again, because now that it's unique you can just tweak it. Actually, you could tweak the your script file as well, because you can just download the entire folder again from the repository. But it's always good to have things separated, in my opinion. Now we want to get the other stuff into this project. So first of all, reduce it to the minimum. Then we already know what we want to have here, which is wave shaper and shapes waves, I guess. And now I will put all the stuff there as well. And yeah, also this. I think I don't need the initialize method in this case, because we don't have anything to initialize. Now we can already see a little bit of a difference here. The easiest one of these to fix is the 10H thing. In AngelScript, you just know what 10H is, but in C++ you have to include CMath for that to be a thing. And then it works out of the box, but if you want to make it even clearer, you can use std 10H in order to really say, yeah, I want to have the 10H of the standard library. Now what's the other thing about? Why does it not know what audio outputs count is? The reason for that is because you have to use the macro DSP export in order to tell it that DSP audio outputs count is a thing. So this is an integer and it's going to be initialized to 0. which is not a problem because the number of outputs is being defined by the host anyway, not by the plugin. We also have to declare all these kind of things to DSP export. And I think the process block method as well. Also, we have to make sure that input parameters names was defined before input parameters, because input parameters names.length is being used here as an input argument. Now let's try to run this script. So what can we see here? Warning, signed, unsigned mismatch. Yeah, that makes sense because I have defined this as int now. Now it should work better. Now, of course, we always get this error message, unable to start program, but it's not really an error. It just tells us that this is not a standalone application, but just a plugin. So we cannot run it from this IDE, at least not directly. We could set up a debugger or something, I think, but I don't know how complicated that would be now. The most important part here is that the build says it succeeded and it never failed, nothing up to date and nothing skipped. That just looks perfect. So where did the file end up being? We look at the message here, tells us it has been compiled to plugin script master, built in, native source, build, VS 2015, x64, debug, and then the one that ends on x64. So as you can see, this was a debug build. If you want to make a release build, you just have to change this to release, and then you can run the build again. So now we have both folders and we can go to the release one. We can copy this out and we can put that into the same folder as our main CXX file if we want to have them both in place. So this is not needed. Now it should be possible to find both of them. Yeah. As you can see, that worked perfectly fine, and now we are actually running plugin script with a file that was actually made with C++ purely. And now we should be able to use, first of all of C++ features, which is very useful because C++ has a lot of features AngelScript just doesn't have. And secondly, just more performance in general because we can compile stuff before actually using it. I'm currently wondering if I can make this workflow even better. I have not tried this yet, but let's say output directory sounds a lot like the thing where the compiled program will be placed. So what about we just select the folder that we want to use directly? Would be pretty cool if that worked. Now I will remove the script again from this folder so we can actually check if it works. Alright, let's go. And we can see it shows up again, and we can reload the script and it is there again. And now we can just make changes to the script and we have basically the same workflow that we would have with AngelScript, I think. So let's say I just want my drive parameter not to range from 1 to 13, which is, 12 plus 1, but from 1 to 121, which would be kind of insane and probably the most squashing wave shaper you can actually make at all. Let's see. And that worked. And it actually sounds pretty cool. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe and stuff like that, Have a nice Christmas time or whatever you are celebrating these days,